Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monster Report live here on YouTube and on Facebook. The Monster Report's a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. And we are glad to have you today. We've got a great show for you, a very entertaining show, but something that needs to be referenced as of today. For one, happy St. Patrick's Day. So of course, I'm already guilty. I've not worn anything green. Of course, I've got all kinds of Godzilla shirts, and what did I do? I picked the one without any bit of green on it. So shame on me. Bad Irish background, I guess. So with that all out of the way, another thing that needs to be said before I bring my guest on here for the day is, of course, the passing of our beloved Akira Takarada. A lot of us in the Kaiju fandom heard about this today, been seeing a lot. Obviously, you're probably seeing it in your social posts. I've seen it in mine. It's just been a very sad day. If you're not familiar with Akira Takarada, he goes way back all the way to the original Godzilla 1954 film as Fisherman Ogata. And so he is, he's a beloved human character in the Godzilla franchise and has been through the films through the classic series, the Heisei series, and the Millennium series, and so he's just and if you've seen him at conventions, I've been to one convention where I've had the chance to meet him. He met my daughter as well and my wife, and it was just a warm, gentle, good man, and we're very saddened at the loss of Mr. Takarada, and we just pray for the family and all those who are going through this time right now in difficulty, and the fans as well, because he was more than just a movie star to us. He was just someone who brought the humanity to the Godzilla films, the Kaiju films that we really love, and so many other films, and brought just a real sense of the fandom. And it was just, it's going to be just tough going forward, not knowing that he's going to be at the cons and things like that, to meet and shake hands with him, get his autograph, things like that. But more than anything, just to see his smiling face. We've all got those pictures if you've had the chance to meet him. And so I would just like just a few seconds of silence for Mr. Takarada at this time. And thank you very much. And so, with that out of the way, and again, chime in on the chat. Anything to say about Mr. Takarada, or anything that you might want to say to myself or my guest before we get started. Like, subscribe, comment, all of those great things. We are on the verge of getting 85,000 subscribers here on the Monster Report, and thank you so much out there to everyone who has supported this channel. And I love to bring on other Kaiju content creators that are out there, and we're going to do that again today. I love helping them out. I love just to get a new audience for them and bring my audience to their audience and vice versa. And so what I'm going to do is bring on my special guest. We have OhhMyGodzilla. How are you doing, man? I don't know if you're coming through or not. You're able to hear me all right?
Hi, doing well. Doing well. How are you? Glad to be on. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Glad to have you on here too.
Yeah, I can hear you. It was kind of glitching in and out for a second, but it seems to. I can hear you okay now.
Okay. It always seems to happen when we go live that I always end up getting glitches and slowdowns in internet speed and all that. So, but we're glad to have you from the great state of Colorado, and we have another friend on here that's been from Colorado. So tell me, OhhMyGodzilla, you obviously have a YouTube channel. I've had the chance to check it out a little bit, and it looks like I may have lost him. Again, something that only happens here on live. So as soon as we get him back, we'll get some questions out of the way. OhhMyGodzilla, if you're out there, just see if you can't maybe close, reconnect, whatever you have to do. I'm just going to get that out of the stream for a minute. In the meantime, while we're waiting on him to come back, I'll share kind of one of my experiences with Mr. Takarada, meeting him at G-Fest a few years back. Like I said, my wife, my daughter were there and got to meet him. He was just very sweet to my daughter, and she kissing her hand and things like that, and he had a kind of a calligraphy pen, and he was writing Japanese characters and all of that. His English was actually very good. I was very impressed with that. Even just seeing the man of his age, his stature, and all of that, a very healthy man. But again, this year he would have been 87. He is 87. Would have been 87 years old this year, and he's unfortunately passed from us. But that experience was just one that I'll always remember. My daughter will always remember. I even have a video kind of the pictures and the experience that it was, and it was just again very memorable. And one of the things that I was just kind of thinking about, and while I'm messaging my guest here to see if he can't get back on. Okay, I think I've got him back here. There he is. You're with me, right?
Coming through all right?
Okay, yeah. Seems like maybe your internet connections. Of course
I am. It seems to be. Okay, there we go.
Okay, we've got you. So I was kind of sharing some.
I don't know. Everything seemed all right, but
okay. We probably got a bit of a delay. I was sharing a little about Mr. Takarada, but we'll get back to maybe a conversation about him in a few. Let's talk about OhhMyGodzilla on YouTube. I've had the chance to check out a few of your videos. Kind of describe for me and for the audience here, what can they expect when they go to your channel?
I just do a bunch of figure reviews, trying to keep up on Godzilla news. When figures get announced and whatnot. So I just did some announcement videos for some of the new Playmates Godzilla vs. Kong set that came out, that dropped the other day, and then the Super 7 news about the Godzilla vs. Biollante that they're doing. So I try to keep up with the Godzilla news related stuff like that, and then other than that, just kind of figure reviews and some stuff here and there. But that's about the gist of it.
All right, awesome. I did see your kind of description of the Super 7. That was very cool to see, kind of a description of what's coming out. I'd love to see it in video form, like you laid it out, and how I can get me, one of those as well.
Yeah, I always like including the pre-order links and stuff, so everyone can go spend their money and be in the same painful money sucking pit that I'm in, with having to get everything new. So.
Oh, I know. It's just like burns a hole in the wallet if you're a collector, but it's enjoyable, and you can make a hobby out of it like you're doing, and get it on, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, anything like that. So tell me a little about kind of your reaction when you see new figures coming out, whether it is like the Playmates or the Super 7. Is it tell me what your first reactions on those newest figures were.
Normally I get pretty excited about the new stuff. The Playmates has really stepped up, especially back when they first got the license and they did like a Space Godzilla and a Destroya and a Final Wars Godzilla. They were super subpar and didn't look that good. But then the last 2 years or so, not even last 2 years, the last year and some change, I guess, they've really stepped up. Last year they did the Gorosaurus looked really good, the Rodan 56 looked really good, and then some of the Godzilla vs. Kong stuff looked pretty good. So they've definitely been stepping up their game. So all their announcements are pretty exciting. And then this the Super 7 announcement for the Biollante and the Godzilla was super exciting, because those look like they're almost SH Monster Arts levels of detail and articulation. So those are super exciting. So normally I'm pretty excited, but a little bit nervous for looking at the price.
That's right. And I remember what you were talking about, the Playmates, how they used to be. Yeah, like that Space Godzilla, for instance, paint and, just everything about it is just like, well, that's for the kiddies. And it seems like they've really said, well, we've got a market here with the adult collector and the young adult collector that that we could really take advantage of here. So I think they've done well with that. And with that, speaking of, I didn't get this given away at my last live stream, so we'll try this today, a Playmates Jet Jaguar. So somebody in the comment section, if they would like this one, this is a spare one. Getty's got, OhhMyGodzilla's got one too. So I was going to say, If he wanted it, I would have been glad to give it to him. But my guest has already got one. So if you in the comment section don't have one and you really want it, this one is yours. I'll even pay for the postage. So just tell me in the chat you want it, and then in personal message I'll get your address and I'll send it your way. So free Jet Jaguar. Someone comment in the comment section there. Tell me how much you want it. So yeah, that was one that more recently came out, which was, the paint was pretty good. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're looking at the older ones that they did, where it definitely seems like they just slapped something together to have it. And so yeah, the Jet Jaguar was another one that was pretty high level. I think looked really good, and it came out pretty, fairly close in release date to the Bandai Japan did a re-release of the Jet Jaguar, and they're both really good. The Bandai's obviously a little bit better, but twice the price. So the Playmates for the price is always, I think the last couple releases have been really, really worth it.
And before we get on the subject of some of your kind of background, I want to hear your reaction to that Super 7 Godzilla and Biollante. But, what is it about it that makes them, in your mind, just, I guess, irresistible?
Those ones the '89 suit for Godzilla is definitely one of the better ones. Super memorable. So a totally classic, awesome suit. One of my favorite looks for Godzilla. So that definitely has some draw. And then the SH Monster Arts did the Biollante, the special color version just came out recently, and then they did the '89 Godzilla, and those were both super good. That '89 Godzilla, I'm looking at it right across from me right now. Super awesome figure. So that definitely bumped up my love for that sculpt and whatnot. And then these ones just look so good that I definitely was excited by them. And on top of the fact that Super 7 has previously really only done like the little reaction. They did that Shogun Godzilla, and they kind of added. They said that they were going to add to the reaction line. So when they said that they were doing some sort of Biollante form of Godzilla, they gave us a teaser the day before. I assumed it might just be another little 4-inch reaction style Godzilla '89 or something. So to have something that was totally next level, like SH Monster's level of detail and highly articulate, was just really exciting.
Yeah, and you were talking about the reaction. Yeah, I was kind of expecting that too. Do you collect any of the little reaction toys?
From Super 7, the only ones I got were the Godzilla ones, but so I have the Shogun, the little Shogun Godzilla, and then they did a glow in the dark version of them. I need to get this whole setup on a swivel because I have my collection in kind of a semicircle, so I need to get it in the swivel so I can turn and look at stuff. But yeah, it's kind of sitting over here. But I did get those Super 7 reaction figures, and they're a lot of fun, but they're definitely not like that next level articulate, detailed, really big display piece.
Yeah, I talk to people a lot about those reactions. I have yet to pick up my first. I'm also a fan of Motu, Master of the Universe, and Voltron and things, and they've done those as well. And I've always kind of looked at them saying you could take or leave them because they're cool, they're little, they don't take up a lot of shelf space. But if you're really into them, obviously, if it's an IP you're really a big fan of, like Godzilla, obviously it's a must-have. So, but the fact that we got articulated figure, and there's even something really cool and unique is that Godzilla with the burned hole through the hand, which that to me, I don't know, maybe there's another figure out there that they've done that, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think that's something I've never seen before, and yeah, like you said, the even the non fully evolved form of Biollante, where it still has the rose face. We don't have. I think we have like maybe one kind of weird art style Giga Brain one. But any mainline detailed movie accurate figure, I don't think we have anything that is that the rose face Biollante. Everything's kind of either the fully the fully evolved form. So a really cool, unique form of Biollante to have as well.
I'm so glad that there was another company that was be able to pick up some of the retail. What do I want to call it? Creation of these, manufacturing of these, because we lost the license with NECA. And it's like, somebody's got to pick it up, other than Playmates, which is doing great, but maybe something for a little bit more of the adult collector that's kind of geared towards it. Super 7 seems like it's just a kind of a perfect fit, a match made in heaven.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they definitely seem to have picked up the NECA gauntlet. A little more expensive, but it seems like they'll be hopefully a little cheaper than the SH Monster Arts for the most part. Hopefully they don't start jacking their prices up, and if they can stay around that $80 range for a figure with and the good part about them that SH Monster Arts has been lacking on lately is there's plenty of effect pieces. We have like two different heads, multiple hand pieces, and stuff like that. So really cool that we get all sorts of effect pieces and swappable parts.
That's awesome. So let's get to you and kind of your kaiju upbringing. Did it start early on or did it start later in life? Tell us how it all began.
Yeah, so it started when I was in middle school. I think I was in seventh grade, and I just ended up. I was up at my family's house up in Washington or Massachusetts, excuse me. And we were just looking for a movie to watch one night and stumbled across the 1980 or 1998 Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And so we just watched that, and I was kind of immediately hooked on the vibe of it and everything. So, when we got back from that trip back to Colorado, I begged my parents to take me to the Toys R Us, and we found the Bandai Creation Godzilla Final Wars and the Kiryu 12-inch figures that they had. So those were kind of the first figures I went out and bought. And then it just kind of, I was finding movies online that I could stream, and we had the Netflix subscription, and this was back when you would, send away and they'd mail you a disc, the old days of Netflix before everything was streaming. So, and I was able to find a couple that Netflix had and watch them that way, and find a couple on, crackle.com, I think is still a thing, some streaming site. So I streamed a couple there and just kind of started watching movies and buying what I could, which was really pretty limited at the time. It was just kind of the Bandai Creation stuff, really. This was before I really was too into searching eBay. I found it fairly quickly after that, but and then I save up my money and say, "Can we buy this one?" And and then once I had was old enough to get my own card and get my own job and stuff, then it really spiraled out of control in terms of me filling up the collection, but obviously plenty of work to do.
Yeah. And tell me, kind of as your peers were seeing you getting into Godzilla and all this, I'll tell you this much from my own experience from, very early on childhood and all that. I guess I could say I got picked on. I guess I didn't care that much, honestly, because I was a Godzilla fan, that there was nothing that could pull me away from it. How did your friends around you and peers kind of react to your newfound, I guess, just entering in on a fandom of something that's not obscure? They kind of know about it, but not knowing enough about it. You're now a Godzilla fan, and so how did they react to you getting into it?
They didn't have too much of a reaction. I wasn't really friends with like we didn't really have too many like nerdy kids that were, or more, I guess more geeky is the word that you'd use to be kind of into stuff like Godzilla and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So people kind of just did their own thing. Nobody really seemed to bug me too much. I'd wear my Godzilla shirts and talk about Godzilla here and there, but they didn't really have too much of an opinion either way. They'd and then once the movie started coming out, I think I was a junior in high school when the 2014 movie came out. I got my friends to come with me. They liked it plenty, and we'd always watch the Jurassic Park movies and stuff together. So they weren't totally far apart from the world of it. Where they did kind of separate themselves was the collecting. They'd sit down and humor me and watch a movie or two, but they definitely have always kind of been curious about why I spend my money on a bunch of toys, and my family for that matter probably more so. But yeah, nobody really had too much of a reaction, or nobody was giving me crap for it too much.
It's just funny, I feel like when I see people's, like you had a collection video, I just feel at home. When I see other people's pictures of their entire collection, when they give a tour of their collection, it's just like my office. It's just because it's filled with the same stuff or other stuff that I'm like, oh, I got to get one of those. I feel at home. And it's like where someone might have a Star Wars collection and all of that. They might, have people that come over, they see the Star Wars collection, they see whatever else kind of more American popular kind of IP that's out there. And they might maybe not react the same way. They might be a little bit kind of like, well, that's kind of strange. Monsters, kaiju. I've never really, gotten into this. I didn't know there was such a vast universe of it. I mean, you ever get that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, people coming and seeing it for the first time. I don't have too many people come and see it, but when people did come and see it, sometimes I'd brace them and be like, I have some Godzilla stuff at the house, so don't freak out. And I guess I undersold it most of the time because that most people definitely didn't know that this much existed, and that this many individual figures could be variants and different monsters. A lot of people just know Godzilla, does whatever, destroys cities, but they don't know that it goes this deep and is this extensive. And so yeah, definitely a lot of varied reactions when people see everything and
Yeah.
whatnot.
I think it's funny when I think of the reactions of people. I'm actually happy to see that kind of reaction. I'm not embarrassed one bit. But I think back to have you seen that movie Dodgeball from years ago? Vince
Yeah.
Vaughn. Yeah, and when he goes into like the girl's house, he kind of forces his way in, and then he sees unicorns.
Oh, all the unicorns. Yeah.
All over the place, and I'm kind of into unicorns, and it's like, so a little bit maybe embarrassing because no one ever comes over and sees the collection out like that. Me, I keep the office door open when we have visitors over, and it's like if it sparks the questions or whatever, and it's like, well, who's that? Why are you into this? Never, aren't they all Godzilla, right? No, I can explain all this. Let's, how much time do you have?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely love talking with people about it, and kind of getting to use my otherwise fairly useless knowledge to inform people on just what I like to spend my time looking at and doing, and.
Yeah. And how did that evolve into you becoming a content creator?
I well, yeah, when I was first getting into Godzilla stuff, I'd use YouTube as a big source to figure out about new figures. I just look up Godzilla figure review and find people talking about this or that, and figure out, oh, that's a figure I want. That's a figure I want. Just kind of build my wish list almost through other people's YouTube videos. And then once I started getting more pieces, I actually started my YouTube channel pretty early on, and I'd do videos, just really, really bad figure reviews on the couple figures I had, and then I'd delete them and redo them and delete them and redo them. So some of the older videos on there are like the fifth variant that I just haven't, have just been up for forever. So just kind of having grown up watching a ton of them to learn about figures, I just figured, since once I started collecting the pieces, it'd be fun to do myself. So pretty early on, I started actually posting videos, even back in probably late middle school or early high school for sure.
Okay, and that's kind of evolved into what you're doing now. So you found yourself not just collecting figures, but getting into the YouTube side. You start gathering equipment. I see you got yourself a nice, cardioid mic and all that, right?
Yeah. So got picked up a couple things, and then I redid my whole collection with the intent of doing a big collection video, and bought a bunch of new shelving and stuff, pretty much specifically for that, obviously to clean it up and make it look nicer for myself. But a big reason I wanted to make the room look really nice is so I could do a video that gives everything better justice than if they were all just crammed into a tiny little shelf. Like I had everything crammed into the tiniest spaces and fit on a way smaller shelf. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and did you start getting into like video editing software and audio recording software, things like that?
not too much of that. No, I mostly just kind of record everything, and sometimes dub over where I need to. And most of my reviews I actually just do in one take. I should probably evolve into doing a little bit better quality of the reviews and whatnot and stuff. But I just kind of use iMovie for the announcement
Mm-hmm.
videos where new stuff comes out. I'll just paste in the pictures and do audio over it, and then yeah, most of the videos where I'm on camera, I just do in one take. So I definitely don't go too complex with it, but
Yeah. See, the video essay, like you were talking about, getting the imagery on there, and they're not just pasted on there. I see you're doing those effects where they're pushing in, they're sliding from one direction to the other, so you can kind of focus on what you're talking about. It sounds like you actually really get into like scripting the video, not just ad libbing it or anything, right?
Yeah, kind of a mix of both. I definitely don't write out a word for word script, but I'll kind of generally try and put the pictures in a way that I think makes sense to talk about. And then as the pictures come up, I just kind of talk about what I'm seeing in front of me. So I definitely, it's definitely not too scripted or anything. I just kind of put the pictures in an order that makes sense and zoom in on what I feel like needs to be zoomed in on, and then just talk as it comes through. And if I need to do a second take on a clip, that's pretty easy to do with the iMovie editor. So just pretty simple stuff, actually.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can say you've got a natural talent for voiceover and getting the information out, because it was really engaging, especially seeing the announcements of the Super 7 video, and of course, watching your collection video, and I was realizing that I was only halfway through, and I don't know how many pieces I'd gotten through, and I was just like, dude, wow, how do you have the shelf space? And it's like, but it seems like you're kind of SH Monster Arts, Bandai Creations, Bandai, NECA Playmates. What other kind of brands am I missing that you collect? I should say.
Those are the big ones. The Playmates are inexpensive enough that I try and keep up with all the new releases to keep do reviews on them and keep them in the collection, because it's nice, and they're inexpensive enough that it's pretty easy to get them. And since they're just you can get them actually in the physical store instead of having to mess with online. And then the Bandai Japan stuff is probably my favorite to collect. But then as it's Monster Arts, I have some of NECA. I have the whole line, and then the Funko. They did a bunch of the Funkos for Godzilla versus Kong. Mm-hmm. So I picked up all those ones. I'm still missing a couple of the Funkos. They did 6, I think, Funkos for like a while ago. They have like a burning Godzilla, regular Godzilla, and then a couple of just variants, like glow in the dark one. So I'm still missing 2 of those, but I think that's the main stuff that I have in the collection.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what I collect and all that. Some of the things that I kind of steer clear of. I'm not into model kits, for instance. I just don't have the patience for those kinds of things, and statues and all of that. So it seems like your scale that you kind of like to stick in is like your 9-inch figures, or maybe smaller than that.
Yeah, kind of the 6 to 9 range, because most of the Bandai stuff is either 6 or 8, and then the SH Monster Arts and NECA are pretty much all 6. So yeah, pretty much the 6-inch scale I really like, and then I do really like the 8-inch Bandais. Those might be my favorite actually overall. Mm-hmm. But there's kind of less of them, so obviously a little less to collect, and I need to fill some holes, obviously. But yeah, definitely definitely the 6 to 9-inch scale. The X Plus is a little too scary because most of them are so expensive. And then the model kits, I just don't really have much interest in putting stuff together and dealing with that hassle.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't have the patience, or maybe even I don't have the talent, honestly. You wouldn't want to see me painting and gluing and all of that.
No, I don't trust myself.
Yeah, I've got my friend John Legrand who can do that kind of stuff, and he does it well, and I appreciate seeing those images and all that. But like you said with X Plus, beyond burning a hole in your wallet, having that shelf space, and when I started getting into that, I realized both of those problems, that the shelf space was becoming more and more limited. Tails always take up way more space than they should.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the tails are always... I always underestimate the tails. I'm like, I have space for these couple of figures, and then their tails start crisscrossing in the background, and you realize you can only fit about half of what you originally estimated. So
that's right, yeah. And then the crawling figures, mm-hmm. they get in the way too. And that's the elephant in the room we have to address here. And you're gonna answer it for me. I'm putting you on the spot. Angulus or Anguirus?
I just always say Anguirus, so I guess that would just be my write-in option C. I've heard it so many ways, but I've always said Anguirus, which my money's on that being wrong. But I don't care enough to correct my pronunciation. So which one what do you say?
honestly, it's whatever movie you're watching sometimes.
Yeah, I guess yeah, you're right. It does seem to change.
It for me it goes back to the VHS days because those dubs use every single translation of those, and into the Heisei and Millennium series, it just seemed like it was changing, and then when I saw it written out, it was something different. So I was just like, when they would talk about Angoras, and Godzilla raids again, and I'm just like, where is this coming from? But beyond that, they're also calling Godzilla Gigantus, so it's like, wow. So
That was a little messy.
I know, right? And that's the same thing. And I try not to get offended by any of this. There could be wars started over Ghidra and Ghidorah, and I'm like, they use them both. It's fine.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, in the mornings I'm Ghidra, in the evenings I'm Ghidorah. Whatever, and it's like the purists who are like, don't even call him Godzilla, he's Gojira, and I'm like, but they told us to use the term Godzilla for the international market because that's what they wanted him to be called, and honestly, that's just it works. It really just works.
Yeah, it definitely.
Yeah. If I said Gojira, people would the normal amateur fans or the normal American public would look at me like I had three heads, right? So, anyways, so that's out of the way. Any cons you get the chance to go to, or guests that they might have at cons? Some of the celebrity guests that they might have that you've had the chance to encounter.
Godzilla wise, no. I've only been to one con ever, and it was just the local Comic-Con here. It wasn't even the big state one. So no, I haven't really been to too much. I want to try and go to G-Fest here in the summer. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But no, I haven't really had any of those experiences, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know that they've got some guests lined up, so if you do get the chance to go, definitely check out the guests. I'm not going this year, but maybe in the future I might. But yeah, the little boy who was in Smog Monster and Megalon, all grown up now, so yeah. He'll be there. And I'm wanting to say maybe it was Tomoko Ai. Someone in the chat maybe can tell me. I can't remember because I knew I wasn't going. So, but yeah, you heard, of course, today the sad news about Mr. Takarada.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about kind of your reaction to when you heard that.
Definitely pretty devastating. I actually the first movie I saw him in was definitely Final Wars, and I thought he was really fun in that movie. I really enjoyed his performance in that one, and then obviously going back in, because I think Final Wars was actually one of the first Godzilla movies, Japanese movies, that I watched. So that was my first exposure to him, and then obviously going back through the movies and seeing it, he was in so many other movies. Yeah, he definitely left his mark on the franchise.
Yeah, very much. And I've heard it said in like the commentaries before, them kind of referring to him as the Japanese Cary Grant because he's very tall, dark, and handsome. He was, 6 foot for a Japanese man was very tall, and that was one of the things that struck me when I first met him, how tall he was. But great physical shape for a man in his 80s when I met him, and just very sweet man. I wish you would have had the chance to have met him, but we have the memories from the home videos and all of the experiences that we have from all the Godzilla franchise. But yeah, if you had the chance to have met any actors or any of them that you're maybe excited to meet that are still with us, is there any out there that you would like to meet actually?
Godzilla wise, I'm super bad with keeping track of the names and whatnot of all the actors, just because I need to pay more. That's just not something I generally pay too much attention to when I'm watching the movies. Is the actors. I definitely know, this guy's in this movie, and this movie. So, but yeah, no one really comes to mind from the Japanese movies. Obviously, it'd be amazing to meet some of the cast of the American movies, specifically, Bryan Cranston, just because he's mostly for his work for Breaking Bad. I'd more meet him as a Breaking Bad fan than his brief cameo in Godzilla.
Yeah.
that was a wasted opportunity. They could have made him carry the franchise had they wanted to. Maybe they just didn't have the wallet for it, but
oh, maybe. But wasn't that such a disappointment?
Yeah, because I I watched Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad obviously wrapped up shortly before the movie came out, so obviously everyone was on this huge Bryan Cranston high, and then
Hmm.
just definitely underutilized. And the scenes he was in, he definitely was great. He was the most interesting character for the first half of the movie. Um, so definitely a missed opportunity, I think, for them to do him in. So definitely
Yeah.
disappointing when I was watching it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to like the legendary films, has your reaction to the legendary Godzilla films, the Monsterverse films, been relatively positive?
Yeah. I think all the movies are really great in their own. Obviously, upon rewatching them, you can nitpick and find things to complain about. But my first viewing of all three of the Godzilla movies and Kong were really really good. I came out of the 20. I saw them all opening night. Um, so I saw the 2014 one. I was super excited, and then King of the Monsters I just thought was so huge and super cool to see all these monsters that I grew up watching. The corny little suits and which is obviously fun and awesome in its own right, but definitely really fun to see them done up Hollywood style with a huge budget and made to look like they're really here and in this world was
Hmm.
super awesome. And then Godzilla versus Kong definitely didn't disappoint either.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just big fun. And someone, Godzilla King of Kaiju's chiming in, telling me, 7 years ago, wow, it just seems like it wasn't that long ago. But that's when I started my channel, was with the Godzilla 2014. Been a Kaiju fan longer, but it was that film that kind of said, okay, I've always planned this. Now's the time to do this. And but bringing it to the American audience, yeah, we had the '98 film and all that, but the fact that we had a really big budget, took the kaiju seriously kind of film series coming out was very just cool to see, and of course Pacific Rim on top of that too.
Yeah. Pacific Rim was another really really good one. But yeah, it's definitely crazy that that movie was 7 years ago because I can remember so much of revolving around it. I remember when tickets first went on sale and scooping up a handful of tickets, and I remember going in and I remember seeing everything, and I remember I was sitting next to one of my buddies, and when Godzilla's tail started glowing blue, I just like slapped him. I was like, "It's happening!" And he, of course, was like, "What?" But I remember like slapping him on the leg and was like, hey, "Look,
Yep.
he's doing the thing."
We didn't get that in the '98 film, so
No.
it's time for that. If he didn't breathe fire, and the radioactive blue fire, that's what we were looking for.
Yeah. So that was definitely super exciting to see that, and then and every just that movie was so fun, and obviously going back and looking at it, you can say the monsters didn't get enough screen time, but you can also say that's just the original Godzilla didn't have that much screen time either, so you can definitely make that argument as well. So yeah, that movie was definitely a ton of fun, and I remember tons of those experiences and have a
Hmm.
lot of positive memories of it.
And of all the series of films, when you kind of find yourself rewatching them, I've got my rewatching always seems to keep going back to Showa because that's, of course, what I grew up with. But a friend of mine might have grown up with a Heisei because they grew up in the '90s, so that was their Godzilla during that time, of course. And so I kind of find myself rewatching that 1985, of course, the American version, and the Return of Godzilla '84 is being my favorite. I find myself rewatching that quite a bit. So that's what I kind of find myself, where in the old days of the VHS tape, wearing that tape out. Now it's DVDs and streaming and digital and all that. But what do you kind of find yourself rewatching a lot of from the Godzilla series?
I'll definitely go back and rewatch the original. At least make just kind of definitely find myself rewatching that once a year at least. Godzilla, the original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla is always a fun one. And then my favorite Japanese movie, at least, is kind of, I guess they're all pretty much chunked in a row, but Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Tokyo SOS, and Final Wars, kind of those last couple in that era. I really like those ones just because I really love the Godzilla 2002, 2003 suit is my favorite suit. So I'll go back and watch those a lot, and then and obviously then the legendary films that are very rewatchable. So those are probably my top kind of rewatch list movies.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Got Godzilla King of Kaiju, he's blowing up the chat here. So honestly, I don't like, and that's fine. You don't have to take or leave these kind of things. I don't like Godzilla vs. Kong or Godzilla 2014 to an extent. I love King of the Monsters, but one thing I can't deny, that each of the movies are enjoyable and entertaining. I definitely agree with that. If there was something, and I'll go first, that I could, when it comes to take or leave, this is something I could leave, was the anime series. That was, to me, I guess the first one just didn't kick for me, but some people it did, and I don't hate them for liking it. But that was one, and some people are like this with Singular Point, for instance. They can leave it, they love it, or they're maybe somewhere in the middle, like, I need to watch it again because I didn't get it. Is there any of the series, whether it's the films, the Netflix series, the Showa Heisei, Millennium, Legendary, any of them that you could kind of say, yeah, that's one I could leave. Don't really go back to it a lot.
Um, in terms of straight up not liking it, there's not too much, but I definitely was pretty heavily in the boat of the animated series, the trilogy, Planet Godzilla. I definitely did not get into it much. That was pretty easily a one and done for a pretty long time. And then Singular Point, I didn't love too much either. It seemed, Singular Point seemed pretty divisive. It was either people really really enjoyed it or people just didn't seem to like it. I do need to give it a second viewing, I think, but a lot of it just felt slow and just a little overly complicated, I think. And it definitely did not do. At least the animated series was fairly hooking and got you hooked in, and at least had some interesting. But I mean, I almost bailed on the first episode of Singular Point, honestly, just because it was just pretty talky and not a lot of, it was like a lot of concepts that were unnecessarily over the top, and it did get better, but I still didn't find myself really really enjoying it as much as I would have if I just plugged in one of the old movies that I like or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And one that also is very divisive is Shin Godzilla for its own reasons. I still enjoy it. I still rewatch it a lot. But yes, I do see why people might not enjoy it as much. It's very talk heavy. It's very political and things like that. And people are like, well, I just don't like the politics, or I just don't like the message. I just don't like whatever. I want to see the monsters. And I get that. I do. But I still like it for what it is. And so, Godzilla King of Kaiju. I'm just going to say that Godzilla is chiming in on the chat. That's awesome. One of the few who love the Godzilla anime trilogy. That's great. And Singular Point. I do think SP is more enjoyable than the anime. So Singular Point. And this is funny. I always kind of thought there might be an anime Godzilla. Now we've already had two. And it's a Japanese IP, and until recently we never had one. So it is interesting that it's taken so long, and kind of makes you wonder: is it an IP that lends itself to anime? It's definitely an IP that lends itself to comics, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but a series, I'd say that's kind of tough. I mean, even the obviously we've got the Hanna-Barbera series that I grew up with, and we've got the post 1998 film Godzilla the animated series, I think it was called, based on Zilla, and that was okay for what it was. It was definitely a product of its time. But as far as lending itself to anime, I don't know. They're trying. And if you were an anime fan, I guess that I'm not really, you would really get into it. I will say I did like the Ultraman anime series. I thought that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched that yet, so that's on my need to watch list. So I definitely did check that out, and I do think Godzilla could, and I don't think Singular Point or the animated trilogy are necessarily bad. They just didn't hook me as much as I wanted them to, which honestly I probably had pretty high expectations because everything with Godzilla's name on it, I go into wanting to love it. But I do think they could do an animated Godzilla really well. I've thought for a while that they could be really cool if they did find a way to, they could almost do it shot for shot, remake the original Godzilla, but do it in like a dark, gritty anime style. It could even be black and white, would be really cool. I think that something like that could be really cool. It'd have to be kind of a darker, I think, tone, but I think something like that could be really fun anime style.
Oh yeah, something very super stylistic like that. And I guess now I'm going to ask you kind of what is the hook, the draw when it comes to that. Some people it's tokusatsu. Some people it's visual effects because we also have CGI Godzillas. Some people it's the music. Some people it's the action. It's the monster fighting and all of that. For me, the hook was always the destruction. I love seeing cities being destroyed by giant monsters, whether it's the CGI or the tokusatsu, suitimation that they did. What was it for you that really was the thing that drew you in?
Just kind of a blend of all of it. I think obviously I love seeing giant monsters fighting and destroying stuff. What both whether it be live action or CGI, both of that's super entertaining. And obviously I really like when they have different unique designs for everything. So just paying attention to the cool designs of the monsters and what they can do. And then, but yeah, like you said, music's a really big part of it too. I grew up playing music, and music was a really big part of my life. I still listen to music, all the time. And so I definitely really like music. And the King of the Monsters soundtrack was so good. How they had borrowed from so many of the old themes. I was really bummed when Godzilla versus Kong didn't have so many of those classic songs. I thought we were kind of gonna have that moving forward since they used it in one movie. I figured they'd use it moving forward. So yeah, even like that music, even in King of the Monsters when they used some of the Godzilla's big themes, just bringing back all those memories of seeing some guy in a rubber suit and this with this soundtrack playing, and then hearing it again with this really huge animated Godzilla jumping out of an iceberg to fight Ghidorah. Just, live action looking total like it's right there in front of you was definitely a big part of it as well. So yeah, definitely the music but yeah, all of it, just the design, and then whether if it's CGI, how crazy detailed everything is and how real it looks, and then the suit side of it, if it's live action, just how much work went into building the suit and building the sets, and then just watching them blow it all up for fun and entertainment. All that's really fun.
Yeah, and as far as other kaiju, if you were to say of all the other kaiju, this is one that may have a special place in my heart. I've said this on my show before. Varan. He's always been the underdog to me. He doesn't get enough credit. A lot of people have never heard of Varan, so he's one that has always, to me, needed to have kind of a reappearance. But also a big fan of Gigan myself. So if there was a non-Godzilla kaiju out there that really you find yourself, if they make a collectible of it, you've got to get it. Is there one that is yours?
Yeah, there's definitely a ton. I really always liked Anguirus a lot. He's always fun, especially once he kind of became Godzilla's go-to buddy. I always kind of like them as a duo. So Anguirus is definitely a really fun one. I really would love SH Monster Arts to do a really fun um, Anguirus design, whether that's an old school Anguirus or a more recent one. Um, Preferably probably not the singular point one, more of a live action one, something like that. But Anguirus is one of them, and then I really like Space Godzilla. I've always thought he's really cool. I love his crystals and how he's basically Godzilla with more spikes and claws and whatnot. But there's tons of them. There's not really a kaiju I don't like, so I'm always really excited by any new figure or any announcement. It's actually funny you brought up Varan because I've always thought he's super cool, and I wish we got more of him. And I really would like like a Bandai or something for him because I don't have any of him in my collection right now. So I'd
Yeah,
really
I don't
like
either.
to track down some nice piece of him because yeah, he's always been something I just thought was a cool looking kaiju.
We're close to our 10-minute mark, so I'll give you a quick story on Varan, a collectible figure. I had ordered my Rick Varan, the black and white variants that they made, the X Plus of it, from Shonen Rick, and it was not their fault, but he got damaged in shipping. And
Oh no.
for months, I was seeing him stuck somewhere. I don't know if it was Atlanta or Cincinnati or somewhere. He was stuck, and I'm assuming that he was at some sort of postal facility where they were evaluating damaged products and see if the product inside the box was damaged as well. And then it finally ended up back at Shonen Rick, and they gave me my money back. But I was like, oh, but I really wanted the Varan. Can you please? I guess it's too late now. Pre-orders are over, and it is like months and months and months afterwards, and that's where I was like, it was my first time pre-ordering, so it really ruined it for me.
Oh no.
So there. there's a Varan out there for me. There's a Varan out there for both Oh My Godzilla and myself out there that we need to have in our collections because, and maybe there's going to be an appearance in some future Godzilla film. And then, real quick with our chat there, honestly, I'm Godzilla King of Kaiju was dissatisfied with the Godzilla vs. Kong soundtrack. Yeah, I would agree. It's not very memorable. I mean, can you name a theme from it? But you can name the King of the Monsters, Bear McCreary themes very easily because it's Akira Ifukube, and he did his own, upgrade to it. So yeah, I agree with that. Tell me, coming up, we've kind of had some announcements. Is there any announcements that have been made that really do get you excited, or is there maybe something out there that they could do that would really hook you?
Yes to both. One of my most exciting things I have on pre-order is the Godzilla SH Monster Arts Final Wars. Like I said earlier, that's one of my favorite suits for Godzilla. Definitely top 3 or 5, somewhere in there. So I can't wait to get that Final Wars SH Monster Arts figure. And then the new one, the Super 7, really excited about that. Godzilla 89. And then who is it that's doing the... I'm totally blanking on the name right now. But they're doing a Mezco is doing a bunch of a Destroy All Monsters set. I have both of those on pre-order. They're supposedly going to ship this month. I think they've said that for the last 2 months. But those are really exciting also. And then in terms of stuff, I actually have a whole list. I was going to make a video in the beginning of the year, like top figures that aren't announced that I want, but I never got around to it. But there's definitely a lot of figures I'd really like. Like a SH Monster Arts Monster X, I think could be really cool. Monster X has always fascinated me. He doesn't seem to get too much attention, and I think he's just a really cool, unique kaiju. So something like that. And then a 6-inch Bandai Japan Godzilla 2002 would be awesome because we have a couple of 6-inch Kyryus, but a proper Bandai vinyl 2002 I don't think has been out yet. So something like that, just because it's my favorite suit, again, would be really exciting. And then if Funko were to expand their line and go back and do King of the Monsters movies, I think they could do a really fun kind of chibi artsy style on Ghidorah and Mothra and Rodan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be really cool to see because we didn't get much from the KOTM. We had some NECA figures, and obviously there was some other, the X Plus made their own version of the 2014, or they had the 2014. They had them all the Godzillas. But yeah, seeing more than what Playmates gave us, I guess, with the Ghidra and Rodan and all that would be nice to see those variations of it. But now, I don't know how much of an Ultraman fan you were. Is he kind of
I not very much at all. I haven't really seen anything. I think Grand King is Ultraman, right? He's an Ultraman villain, right?
I'm not sure, actually. See, I'm an up-and-coming Ultraman fan myself, but I saw the announcement, of course, for the Shin Ultraman, recently and all that, and that's getting some traction. So I'm starting to gain my Ultraman knowledge and all that. Very likely he is. Maybe someone in the chat could, maybe Godzilla King of Kaiju, who's blowing up our chat, which is great, could tell us about that. But as far as, Ultraman, so it's... yeah, something still kind of on the peripheries for you. And I guess maybe Gamera, things like that too, kind of on the sidelines of the Godzilla side.
Yeah, Gamera's kind of hanging out on the side as well. I have one Gamera figure hiding back here, and it's just because it was a cool sculpt I liked, but I haven't really gotten into Gamera. I'm kind of keeping myself intentionally away from Gamera and Ultraman because I don't need another obsession to keep filling the shelves. Godzilla keeps me busy and broken up. So
no, I know. Yeah,
perhaps one day, but I definitely need to at least watch the movies to know more about them. But
sure, yeah, we've got he's got the SH Monster Arts Godzilla Ultima pre-order since November 2021. It's stuck in limbo. Oh, I am so sorry, but hopefully it should be coming soon. I would love to have the anime Void Ghidra based on the CGI model. Wow, yeah, that would be cool. There's a lot of different. The universe of the kaiju is so vast that these toy creators can just, go to town. It's again like the Star Wars thing. It's like so many versions, so many series of those different characters that we've got, and it's like so many suits that Godzilla wore, and so many variations of the other peripheral monsters that they have. That it's like, well, I like that version of it. I like the Final Wars version of Godzilla. I like the Final Wars version of whoever else, and it's like, well, you know, they probably do make it out there. It's probably in some form or another. When we're wrapping up here in the last couple of 5 minutes here, I want to make sure that you get the chance to shout out your all your social outreach that you've got and YouTube channel. Where can they find you, and what can they expect coming up in the future for you?
Yeah, YouTube is the main thing I do, and that's just, you know, I try and keep up with the figure announcements, pre-order stuff, and then movie stuff, as we're kind of, you know, in a dry spell right now in terms of new Godzilla content coming out. But as that comes out, I'll try and keep info circulating on there. The new Godzilla Apple TV series, I'll try and keep info on that, and then just figure reviews of what ends up coming in here. I'm in the same problem. My Godzilla Ultima has been pre-ordered since about November, and it keeps getting pushed back. So whenever that comes out, hopefully we'll do some stuff on that. But that's the main place I do. I'm trying to think of all what I have. I have an Instagram account. I think it's just OhhMyGodzilla, and that I just post on there occasionally, just pictures of figures and whatnot, and a Facebook page, same thing there. But I don't really use those too much. YouTube's pretty much where I live now in terms of socials.
Okay, so the big thing is search for Oh My Godzilla out there, and I know that you've had guests on, and you call that playlist Podzilla, so that people, they want to get another, like maybe not figure reviews and all that, because in fact you do that very well, but if you want to hear yourself talking to some guests, you've got those lined up, and sounds like you've got a big lineup coming up as goes along, like one every week, or.
I'm trying to, yeah. When I decided I wanted to try and do this, I sent out, you know, a bunch of emails trying to get people to come onto the show, and not too many responded. So I have a couple more weeks of guaranteed guests, but always looking for more on there. So my contact email is listed in my account. So if anyone's interested in joining that and doing an episode, be more than happy to have people on, especially fellow content creators, just chat about this, that, and the other thing. So yeah, definitely looking for people, you know, within the next month or so. I'll be needing some more guests. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, check it out. And if you're interested in being a guest, you're also a content creator, contact him. But if you're just interested in the content itself and figuring out what's new in figures and all kinds of other Godzilla related material, check out Oh My Godzilla on YouTube. Hey, it's been great having you on this stream, and we will definitely look forward to having you maybe in the future. We'll pick a topic of some sort that we can go back and forth on, and that'll be entertaining, because just love having these conversations with other Kaiju fans.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a lot of fun doing these, and I've been doing the podcast stuff, and that's been much more enjoyable than I thought. It's always fun talking to new people about the same stuff. It's always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to let you go here, and I'll have you on, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you after we go off the air here. So, and thank you everyone who has had the chance to be here, part of our chat, part of our stream here, and subscribing, liking, commenting, hitting that notification bell, all those great things on YouTube. You can find the Monster Report on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well, and monsterreport.com, all those great sites that you can check out, and we will look forward to seeing you guys in the future. And for me, Nick Adam Poling from the Monster Report, and my guest, Oh My Godzilla, we will catch you next time. Thank you.